It is playoff time, and I cannot wait for one game in particular. Jags Chargers Saturday night. I'm excited about this game. I'm excited about it for a number of reasons, but my former head coach Doug Pederson has done a masterful job in Jacksonville turning that team around. You know, I think a lot about, our time in Philly. And I remember in 2018, we were coming off the Super Bowl. We struggled. We weren't real good. We were 4-6. We turned it around. Great coaches can kind of learn their roster. They can give guys goals. They can kind of redirect players. They can change the scheme, and teams improve over the course of the season if you have a really good coach. You saw that with Mike Tomlin this year, for instance. There's been a few teams that started slow and finished hot, and the Jags are one of those teams. If you look at the second half of their season, they beat a number of quality football teams. They beat 3 playoff teams this year, which is actually higher on the list than you would think. There's not many teams that have beaten multiple playoff teams this year. They finished strong. They beat Tennessee last Saturday night in a game where, a lot of people are looking at Jacksonville and they're saying, that wasn't that impressive of a win, but you saw what Mike Vrabel did in Kansas City with Malik Willis as the quarterback. He did it again with Josh Dobbs. He muddies it up. He makes it difficult on the opponent, and the Jags found a way through that and into the playoffs. And so I hit up my former coach, Doug Pederson, and I asked, do you have 10, 15 minutes for me on Tuesday between all the stuff that he's doing, getting ready to play a playoff game? And he came back to us and said, I got some time for y'all before I head to practice. So we got about 10 minutes with Doug. We touched on a couple of hot topics, one of them being Trevor Lawrence. He's also broken the news on what the Jaguars will wear this weekend when it comes to their wild card playoff game against the Chargers. Kyle, what would you wear?
If I were to picture Trevor Lawrence in the wild card, it would be in the all black. You know what I mean?
Me too. We'll see what Doug says.
Right.
And Kyle
all
will be
sweet.
all black looks great. And Kyle will be back with us in about 10 minutes. We got a packed show for you. We're going to go through our favorite wild card memories since 2000. There have been a lot of them when you went through them. Some of the biggest, best memories in pro football occurred wild card weekend. The last 2 years, not as competitive, average of 17 points per game in final score difference between the wild card teams playing since they expanded. So not great, hoping for closer ball games this week. But, if you monitor the Tua situation, the Lamar situation, you could have 2 double-digit lines going into this weekend, which is not good for the NFL. I'm hoping it's a more tightly contested weekend, but we'll talk about that after Doug. And then we've got some mailbag, as well as we'll talk about the most and least attractive head coaching destinations, looking at the vacancies going into 2023. So stick around after Doug, and here's my old coach. All right, Doug Pederson here, my old coach. I know I'm excited, and I'm not surprised. I mean, when there's a young team and a rebuild starts, you think the clock might be a little bit longer on getting things going in the direction that you need it to go. But Dougie P got these boys rolling. They reeled off a bunch of wins straight. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on today. And I'll just take you back real quick when I took this job, and then back in February, almost a year ago. Looking at the roster and looking at the team. In the bottom, I guess in the back of your mind, you thought you would be in this situation, maybe competing, in your division and everything. But, we had that 5-game skid there in the month of October that wasn't good. Yeah. And, you're sitting there at 2-6, and then you're sitting there at 3-7, and you're thinking, your season's about done. But I'll tell you this. I mean, it's much like you remember our days in Philly. We won that championship. The guys just rallied around each other and just kind of picked each other up. And that's what I've seen here in the last month and a half, 7-8 ball games. And we've been able to pull out some really good, some good wins and put ourselves in a position for this wild card game.
Well, yeah, I mean, and in October they were all 1-score games, which, I mean, you don't take any consolation. You're not like, hey guys, we're close, but that's the reality. It's that close, and a 5-game skid could be a 5-game winning streak, and y'all found a way to win these games. We were just talking before we turned it on. Like Saturday night was all about finding a way to win, being creative. What's it like playing a Mike Vrabel team that is scrappy? No matter who's the quarterback, no matter who's hurt, they find a way to muddy it up. How do you get your guys prepared for that game Saturday?
Now you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, you play a Mike Vrabel team. One, they're going to be well coached. They're going to be well disciplined, and they're going to be physical. He's a former defensive guy, and he's going to have those guys charged up and riled up, and they were, and rightfully so, because they were playing for the same things that we were playing for: win and you're in. And so I was talking to my team about the same thing. This is what you can expect, and I thought our guys handled that extremely well. The offense wasn't quite as sharp as we'd like to be, and we got some things to clean up this week. But I thought defensively, kept us in that football game. Some key turnovers, or some takeaways. The obviously the biggest one was the Josh Allen scoop and score on the fumble, late in the fourth quarter. But when you're playing a Tennessee team like that, I mean, that's what it's going to take. It's not going to be high scoring. It's going to be physical, and it's the one who can outlast. I think at the end is going to win.
Yeah, you're going into the playoffs. You're playing the Chargers, and you guys beat them 38-10. But I was looking at that score, and I was thinking back to 2018. Remember, we played the Saints, and they kicked our asses in New Orleans, and then we went up and played them in the playoffs, and we got after them for a while. Some things didn't go our way. We lost that playoff game, but I wonder if that makes sense when you think about it, parallels, like guys, like 100 days ago is 100 days ago. Like things change. This is going to be a battle. And what playoff advice do you give guys? Because a lot of your dudes have never been there and they're younger. There were a lot of young guys on our Philly team, but what kind of playoff advice do you give to these guys?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Chris. I mean, that's a long time ago that we played these guys, and they're a different football team. There's a few new faces on their roster. We have a few new faces, this late in the season, obviously. And I'll say this, that, the Chargers have been in this situation before. Coach Staley has had these guys prepared the last couple of seasons, and, they got a quarterback with some experience down the stretch here. And I've got a bunch of young guys, but sometimes, Chris, what our guys don't know, they don't know. And that can be a positive, and they just go out and play hard and play with one another. And, it's my job to make sure that there is a sense of urgency with this group, that there's an attention to detail as we practice and as we prepare. They got to take care of their bodies. Obviously, they got to take care of the little things on and off the football field. And those are just reminders that I can give this team. And honestly, we have a couple of guys. We have a Darius Williams on our roster who won a championship with the Rams.
Oh, yeah, he had a hell of a role there.
Yeah, and so I can lean on him this week, and I will, and get those guys to maybe talk to the team like we did in Philly, and just put a little perspective on where we are and what we can accomplish.
Your veteran leaders, I know that there's maybe not as many, but who are those guys on your team?
You look at Roy Robertson, Harris on defense. You look at Brandon Sheriff on offense.
That's right.
I look at Tyler Shatley is a guard for us. Been here 9 years. Rayshon Jenkins has been here a couple of seasons now. And Josh Allen has been here, our outside linebacker, and Foye Olakun's only been here a year, but he's got some experience in this league. And but yet these guys, these are the ones I'm going to have to lean on. And even though they maybe haven't been to the postseason or maybe with other teams they've been there, they're the ones that I have to count on to really inspire the rest of the group and get them going for the week.
And Josh Allen has played some really good ball when it's counted. That guy has been clutch. I texted you earlier this season about him. I love his game. How important has it been, to see after you guys lost to Denver, Trevor said, "Hey, enough is enough." And it was almost like he said it and that's what it was. What has changed for Trevor, and how excited have you been watching his maturation and that process with him?
Yeah, you know what? He's really that game bothered him, and it bothered, I think, our team at the time. We felt like we were in a good position, probably had a chance to win that game, but we didn't. And it bothered me, obviously. The trip back, and I know it bothered our quarterback, and he took it to heart because he came out the next week, and I believe we had the Raiders at home the next week, and we got down 17-0 in that football game, thinking that, okay, this might be the the real turning point to our season. Like this might be the end, but he led us back and put the team on his back, and we can continue to trust each other, and we got the victory at that point, and that kind of turned our season a little bit, at that particular time. But it's the way he's really embraced it. He's put a lot more on his plate from the standpoint of preparation and just leading our guys. And it's really good to see from a young player, only a second-year player who, in my opinion, has had almost a wealth of NFL experience in 2 years with everything he went through last year and of course, this year. But he's in a great place. It's fun to watch him, and he's still learning and growing.
Last question. It's a two-parter. I know you got to get to practice. Number one, who is your ice cream guy? Who likes Haagen-Dazs more than anybody? I used to cut the line. I used to stand next to the door. He used to call me out. You'd be at the front.
I know.
He'd be talking to the team Saturday night. He'd be like, "See, Long, I see you there by the door." But Ken Flagel was right next to me. He was trying to race me to the Haagen-Dazs. Who's your Haagen-Dazs fanatic this year?
I'll tell you what, C.J. Beathard, our backup quarterback, might be the one that gets the line, gets the line early. And then obviously our GM, Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke's another one that likes to cut the line with that ice cream. So those two guys, they beat me to the punch. Good man.
And then last one, you guys got, we used to bust your balls and ask, hey, what are we wearing this weekend, Coach? Are we wearing green? Are we wearing, whatever it was? What color unis are we wearing this weekend? I want to put a bid in. A vote in on all black. You guys just look so damn good in all black. What's it going to be this weekend, Coach?
It might be the teal jerseys with the white pants, which I really like our teal at home. It's a great. It was a great atmosphere last Saturday night with all the towels and everything in the stadium. So teal jerseys, white pants look pretty sweet.
Atta baby, well go get them, Coach. Man, you're doing great, and I'm so proud of you, man. We're all us former Eagles are texting about it. We're like, look at our guy, and the lettuce looks great in that climate, man.
Like that right there.
You moisturize the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the humidity
down here in Florida, baby.
Yeah. All right, Doug. Well, good luck this weekend, man. It's great to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, brother. All right, Kyle, I watched some college football last night. Did you watch that Georgia game at all?
Oh, my gosh. What a route.
Holy shit.
Mattress Mac had
TCU. What comes up must go down.
Yeah, thank God for the Astros, I guess, in his case.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the furniture. But, yeah, Georgia's just it's not interesting. It's like a different team assumes this role of ruining the college football playoffs every year. It was Bama, now it's Georgia. David Pollack had a moment last night in the broadcast where he turned to Nick Saban and was talking to the other people on the show, and he said Georgia's just kind of taking over college football. They're assuming that role now.
Nick didn't look too
excited about that,
or he was a little bit motivated. But he
was a little bit motivated, and so 25, 26-year-old Stetson Bennett gets another title. And now he can go work on Wall Street or something, or maybe back up a quarterback in the NFL. There's also a number of prospective draft picks for Georgia you got to keep an eye on. Last year they lost 5 guys in the first round of the NFL draft.
Number 1 picks could be a Georgia guy.
You never know.
Stetson could back up a guy who's younger than him in the NFL.
He will. Yeah, he will.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If you just look at the youth at quarterback, I mean, I could see, you could see him going to any number of teams.
Yeah, no question.
With a young quarterback.
But Georgia has closed the book on college football this year. We will talk more to Stanford Steve about that victory and about the landscape going into 2023. But needless to say, the dance floor is cleared for, as you reminded me, Kyle, Super Wildcard Weekend. Not Wildcard Weekend, Super
Wildcard Weekend, because it is super. All these regular season games are amazing, but these are super games.
These are super games, Kyle. So we'll give out our favorite wild card moments over the last 22, 23 years in a moment. But as promised, I figured we'd start the show talking about these head coaching vacancies. First off, I did go last night bowling. I went to, as we call it, Kegler's. Now it's called Bolero.
It's still Kegler's in my mind.
They've gentrified Kegler's. And I really enjoyed my time. I bowled one game. My arm started to hurt. That was it.
Where in the arm? Shoulder, elbow, hand?
Rhomboid.
Where's the rhomboid?
Rhomboid is a complicated little muscle in your back. My shoulder, once my trap and my shoulders start to go, then the rhomboid locks up, and it's no bueno for your boy for sometimes days on end. So I bowed out respectfully after I bowled 104, which I think we were discussing what the Mendoza line is for being a shitty bowler.
Triple digits, because you get 10 frames, right? You get 10 opportunities to knock down 10 pins with 2 throws.
I still don't understand the scoring. You get a strike.
You get extra turns if you get a strike.
Yes, at the end of
the ass end.
Yes.
The following frame, you get double the points if it's a strike, 1.5 times if it's a spare.
That's right. Is it a code break to not wear bowling shoes at the bowling alley?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Unless you're
Wear
wearing
whatever you
socks.
want.
You're not going to wear fucking boots at the basketball court.
But
you
how
could
much?
if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to be an asshole.
Oh. Well, I was an asshole last night, Kyle,
I would expect nothing.
because it was a long way to the desk to go get a pair of clown shoes.
And with that rhomboid.
Yeah, my rhomboid was out. There were other people at the bowling alley without the bowling shoes on.
I can't imagine Macon wearing shoes that somebody else has worn.
No, Macon did not wear bowling shoes, and Macon actually won the match. He bowled a 146 and beat everyone.
Wow.
Gave him an opportunity to get in on the pot of $20 a player, and he passed on the opportunity and then won the game.
Was there anybody trying to spin it?
No, not really on our team or in our group.
People who can spin it are really impressive.
They're really impressive.
It's like in golf, if you can make it go to one direction every time, you eliminate the other side of the playing field.
That's interesting.
So
I do that all the time in golf.
mathematically, You cut the,
I can spin it.
I'm a big hooker in golf. I like to hit
Kingston
it.
said he can
I
spin
hit
it.
it to the left. Kingston, you can swing the golf clubs?
Oh no, but
Or you can
You
bowl?
spin
bowling ball,
You
I can make it spin like
Jared
right
Goff,
to
like
left.
Trevor
can?
Lawrence, or do you spin it like Patrick
like
Mahomes?
Baker
Pete
Mayfield.
Weber.
Pete Weber.
He's spinning it like Skylar Thompson.
Who do you think you are? I am.
I am. No, Macon says he's never bowled before, and he bowled a 146.
He's one of those I've never.
Yeah, and that's his whole shtick. When we used to play like FIFA, and we'd be up at 2 a.m. betting like all types of stuff, drunk when we got home from the bar. His move used to be like, "What are the buttons? I don't remember the buttons." So he did the same thing with bowling last night. That sandbagging son of a bitch.
He didn't know how to put his fingers in the holes.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, what do I do with these?" So, anyways, he bowled a 146. Congratulations, Macon.
There you go, Macon.
And I got to hit an Outback Steakhouse after old Bolero closed. Hadn't been to Outback Steakhouse in a while. Saw somebody delete an entire bloomin' onion right next to me. 40-year-old man at 10:30 at night eating a bloomin' onion.
So eating the bloomin' onion without silverware, because obviously you eat bloomin' onions.
It's a
with your
finger food.
hands.
It's a
And
finger
you've been
food.
in a bowling alley all night.
Yep.
And
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody washed their
I did not
hands.
see him wash his hands.
Nobody washed their hands.
I did not see anybody, but actually, I'm the only one I think that washed their hands.
It doesn't happen.
Well, dudes, they're 3 fingers deep in a extra large 14-pounder.
See, this is the
And then next thing you know, you're at Outback Steakhouse fingering a bloomin' onion.
And you got to think about how many people were fingering a bloomin' onion prior to arriving in Outback. So really, it's just the cycle of like crumbs in a hole and being
How do you
fingered
mean?
out. Well, people aren't going there hungry. People have eaten throughout the day, didn't wash their hands.
Yeah, that's true.
Did
This was
nasty stuff all
This
day.
was a second dinner for us.
Not only just the bowling alley you're carrying into Outback, but the rest of your day.
So Outback Steakhouse is a staple. It still is. I just wanted to report back. I hadn't been in years. But that's
Do you order a Foster's when you go?
I love the Fosters. I know they don't drink it in Australia, but I love a Foster's.
Do they bring it in an icy mug?
They bring it in a cold mug. Not an icy mug, but
I need ice frosty.
I need a frosty mug too.
Frosty mug.
And the wings are great. The whole thing. This is turning into an ad for Outback Steakhouse, and they don't currently sponsor this podcast, so we're gonna get on with it. Okay, so top coaching destinations. We've got 5 spots that have vacancies right now.
Give it to us.
Well, we've got Carolina, we've got Indy, we've got Houston, we've got Arizona, we've got Denver, Reed's God's team. And then, I think Sean McVay is done. I think he's retiring. I think there's way too much smoke. I don't think this is an Aaron Rodgers boy who cried wolf thing. Sean McVay, I think, Kyle, he's just I think guys are burnt out now. I think it's probably harder to be a head coach now than it was. I think the hours are crazy. I think the media will pick you apart even if you're in a market like LA where they don't care as much about football. It's still LA. I think he's had the successes that he set out to have. I also think sometimes we look at a guy like Sean McVay and you're like, you've only been a head coach for a few years, you're young, but look at how long those guys have to work to get to where they are. And so, all that emotional baggage, all that, that time away probably adds up. And now coaches are making so much money that, he can walk away
off one nut.
And then on top of that, this coach to the booth thing is a well-beaten path.
Coach to the booth, back to coaching is what I think.
That's the Gruden thing.
You got to go and get your air. You got to come up for air every once in a while. To your point.
Yeah, and I think we could see this more.
I wish players did this more often.
Well, the problem is you can't lose 3 years of your prime.
No, not 3, but I mean, guys could take a year off.
Take a year off. If you play for the Houston Texans next year, you're like, I think I'll go work for CBS. Brandon Cooks is coming for your job, Kyle.
For coaching destinations, I think Arizona might be interesting because I say this because I read that Kyler Murray will have input on the coaching.
Yep.
search.
So that is interesting.
So if you're going there, at least you know that your guy has vouched for you.
Yeah.
You're not coming there with a bunch of promises, but
no, you know what? That's a good point, Kyle. Like if the QB has a hand in selecting the coach, you're at least going to be, well liked by the QB in the beginning.
Yeah.
But you see that stuff go south pretty quick, pretty often. I mean, like
it never works.
Yeah. Well,
when a player picks
Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. I thought when they were talking about Nathaniel Hackett in the beginning, it was like it was a play to bring Aaron to Denver. Well, they ended up with Russ. Him and Russ were like buddies. I think I might be making that up.
It sounds right. I don't know. I tried to forget the season.
Yeah, you're trying to forget the season, but
we're trying to remember the season.
I'm trying to. Well, no, some of the stuff was unforgettable. I do think that stuff is superficial. The coach and the player get along, because when the shit hits the fan, winning in production kind of sets a tone in that relationship. But that's an advantage. Another kind of undercover advantage for like a Carolina is I feel like Carolina is the top destination because of some of the problems at these other places with whether it's cap or a trade for Russell Wilson or what have you. If you're the coach that gets the Carolina job, that's probably the first pick for most coaches. You're going to have a longer leash. You're probably a high profile guy. Say it's, Sean Payton. Sean Payton's going to have a longer leash in a division that's in shambles. Tampa Bay doesn't have a great cap situation. They're not going to have a quarterback. Same thing with New Orleans. Atlanta's in a rebuild. So I think that makes it the best destination. You have 4 picks in the top 100. You have a top 10 pick. You have a neutral owner. David Tepper doesn't have one of these reputations. Usually an owner that you don't know much about is probably better than the guy you hear talking all the time, whether it's Jerry Jones or Jim Irsay or somebody that's been a bear to deal with.
He did have the blip with the Rock Hill facility.
Yes,
that they tried to build, but he seems like a pretty good owner to work for.
Well, that's a good thing, right? Because that was supposed to be an indoor facility, and we'll get to the Bears renderings in a bit. I would put Carolina 1. Indy and Houston, it's closer than you think, because on one hand, Indy has a top QB pick. They could definitely draft a quarterback in the top 10. You've got a running back. You got receivers to build around in Pierce and Pittman. And I like their tight ends, honestly. Speaking of our guy from Virginia, Jelani Woods, and
Matt Ryan could remember his
and Mo Alley-Cox. They have weapons. Like low key, there are some guys there. You have to work on the offensive line. Your quarterbacks were under siege this year. And you have a solid draft and cap situation. Solid. You got to see what happens with Matt Ryan, and it'll be interesting to see like the mechanics of how Matt Ryan tries to keep that money that they'll owe him. If he retires, no money owed, right?
Do you guys have any concern about going in and working with Chris Ballard, who hasn't had a lot of success the past few years.
Well, there's that, and there's Jim Irsay. It's kind of an icky vibe there.
I wouldn't go to Indianapolis just because you feel like you're somebody else's do boy. Like you said, Irsay's involved. Ballard makes decisions, and then Ballard gets trumped by Irsay.
Yep.
And then you're sitting there wearing the shit on your face.
Well, I wonder like how high profile a guy it would have to be to feel like the big man in the room in Indy, because like Jim's personality is so big. Yeah. Chris Ballard survived this.
It would need
like
to be
obviously
like a Sean Payton type.
Yeah, it would have to be like that. Now Houston, same division here, right? So there's two teams in the AFC South looking for coaches. There's one team, and you're chewing on one of the things that's attached to the microphone now.
Why not?
Why not? So, two coaches in that division are out of jobs. You've got the Jags who are ascending. You have the Titans who are descending. But still,
I would
say. But a high floor on that team.
Yeah.
Houston, they've got 2 top 15 picks. You got 5 in the top 80. You have 12 total in the draft coming up. You have $50 million cap space. You have the number 2 pick, which how you got here is fucking. It's frustrating. But maybe the Bears draft a position player one. Maybe they fall in love with Will Anderson. I doubt it. I think they're going to recoup a bunch of picks for the first pick. But maybe
they
Houston.
Need an edge rusher. They need a game-changing edge rusher or an interior guy.
Yep.
The guy from Georgia.
Maybe Houston is not in love with Bryce Young, which would render this whole situation possibly a moot point. Like maybe somebody's trading up to snag Bryce Young and they like Stroud. You have Stingley and Pierce, young guys who made some noise this year. And nobody expects anything. The only thing is like you have to have self-awareness, I feel like, when you go into interview for the Texans job, because if you're not like a high-profile guy, you might be another one-year rental. It's just how they're doing.
Why would you think they would do a third guy for one? Like it would look so bad organizationally if you had 3 one-year hires.
I don't think they care. I do think they're probably going to go try to hire a guy now. They're in position to do what they set out to do, however you feel about it. But Houston and Indy, either one. I don't know. They're very different situations. Arizona, you mentioned it, 5 picks in the top 100. You have a solid cap situation. One thing to watch there is who's going to be hired first, the GM or the head coach, because that often signals who's going to make the decisions hierarchically.
Hierarchical.
God damn, that's a tough word.
Hierarchically.
There's a reason we don't say that word much. It's a tough word.
Hierarchy.
But Ian Yates Cunningham, our guy who's working under Ryan Poles in Chicago, has an opportunity at that job. I know his name's been mentioned there.
Good for him.
Yeah, his name's also been mentioned in Tennessee. I think he's going to be a great GM one day.
Peyton Manning went.
I don't know if you can trade
head coach.
Well, I know that they want Peyton back in the building, which Robert Mathis claimed.
/GM.
This was interesting. Robert Mathis claimed when we interviewed him in Vegas that one of the angles of bringing Jeff Saturday back in was to try to get Peyton to come home, but
fucking bait in the water
because he gets so mad when Saturday calls the plays.
Yes, exactly on the sideline, and now watching on TV, he's like, Jeff,
you fucking go sit down, Jeff.
He's calling fucking plays.
He's calling plays. And then lastly, and I honestly think this could all be flipped on its head. The Rams, that's probably a vacancy. They've got no quarterback. Well, they have Matt Stafford, but I don't know if he's going to come back to facilitate a rebuild or be a bridge. They have bottom 5 cap space. You've got some really good players that you could trade. You could move. You could move Aaron Donald. I've said this for months now. Move Aaron Donald. Recoup maybe multiple ones for Jalen Ramsey. Same thing, a bunch of picks for Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald has a no-trade clause, so he might want to go to a contender. He definitely wants to go to a contender, I'm sure, if he were open to it. I think a homecoming to Pittsburgh would be awesome. I think with the uncertainty of the Fletcher Cox situation, I think Philly could be fun. I don't see him as a Dallas guy, but you never know. I don't see him going to Minnesota, but you never know. I don't see him going to Seattle because that's, I don't see them trading him in division. But those are some names that kind of came up as I was jotting things down. Chicago, you're joining another rebuild, and I don't think Aaron Donald at that age.
They're going to be so hot in 2 years.
Yeah, they might be.
And who knows if he's over it.
He might be over it, but who's hot right now? The Philadelphia Eagles. The Steelers could be hot next year.
Imagine that D-line with Hayward, Watt, Donald, and Highsmith. That'd be the best D-line in the league.
It'd be disgusting, quite frankly. And then Ramsey, he does not have a no-trade clause, I believe. And Houston and Chicago has a ton of picks. The Giants need corner help. Kansas City could use it. You never want to rule Philly out of any trade discussion. Buffalo and the Chargers could use corners. I know that they've been trying to address, issues there. So when you look at the Rams, sure, you could rank them 5 or 6. But if you have a coach that has the assurances and the clout that, like, hey, this year doesn't count. You're going to collect a big check. We're going to trot a bridge out there. We are going to suck so much ass. We will suck, but we're going to suck ass together. We're going to do this as a group. And then next year,
human centipedes.
Yes, yeah. And then next year, we're going to draft a Caleb Williams, and he's going to stay home in L.A. And we're gonna roll because we're gonna have all these picks now. We're gonna go from having no picks to some capital as a result of moving some of these pieces, and we can start over. So I think the Rams. You look at that, and you look at Indy. Les Snead is a really good GM. Love Les, Stan Kroenke, but you look at Indy and you look at the Rams. You will live in Indianapolis, or do you want to live in Brentwood? Some coaches might think, hey, I'll take the money in LA and sit through tanking for a year. And all of a sudden, in a year, this vacancy might have a bunch of draft capital to play with. So I don't know. I don't know if trading Ramsey and Donald, or even one of the two, would even get them back to equilibrium.
I think trading both of them would put them above net neutral, actually.
And that's how this process has to go. If you're gonna say fuck them picks, there has to be a scenario then when you recoup them, and once the mushroom cloud starts, you got to sell high on some of these players. And so I think it's interesting trying to consider who might be a candidate for these jobs and who would be attracted to some of them, like the Rams.
They already won, right? I mean, they won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That trophy's not leaving anybody's house. It's not coming off of Aaron Donald's Hall of Fame resume, but like you said, it's part of the fucking.
It's part of the deal. Arizona, I would think, wants an offensive coach. The objective is to fix the offense and to make Kyler Murray run an NFL offense. What they were running under Cliff was not an NFL offense. They were running this fucking some derivative of air raid where Kyler had to do a million things, like simplify things, reel him in, get him to work. Houston, I would think you're probably agnostic on which side of the ball you go with. Carolina, I just feel like it's offense, but a lot of times teams go opposite. So like, hey, they just fired Matt Rule. Well, now we might want a taste of a defensive head coach.
D'Amico.
Indy, we had Frank Reich. Maybe we go with a defensive head coach, and you might see Frank Reich or one of these coordinators pop up in Arizona or something like that. Especially if you line up a defensive head coach. Houston, as I said, could go either way. Indy could probably go either way.
Is it a bad sign that you haven't mentioned the Broncos yet?
The Broncos, yeah, it is a bad sign that I haven't mentioned the Broncos yet. I wanted to give Reed that breakdown, but the Broncos, it all hinges on what you think about if you can fix Russell Wilson, whatever's broken with him, man, because a year ago, this seemed like a slam dunk to a lot of people. It seemed scary. They seemed like Super Bowl contenders.
Everybody's AFC West rankings were so drastically different at the beginning of the year. And
look at it. I mean, the receivers have supported Russ through late in the season. Like some of the tweets, some of the comments have been, "Hey, this is our guy. He's the future for us." Despite the frustration, despite the losing, I still think there's some sort of kind of optimism there in a strange way, because I just think Nathaniel Hackett was such a whiff And he'll probably end up back in Green Bay collecting a nice check, or maybe coaching Jordan Love. Or maybe he goes with Aaron Rodgers somewhere, But
he could use a nice spiritual journey.
But I think Denver's positive when you look at it is that they have an owner that can pay you a fuck ton of money.
And days of sunshine.
And what? Yeah, 300 days of sunshine. And they could also...
all your plane rides go straight down.
Yep. Dallas is a job here that we're not talking about, but I know Jerry Jones said the wild card will not impact how we evaluate Mike McCarthy, but he also said in the finer print that we're evaluating a lot more than the wild card round. So it's not like he's saying Mike McCarthy's job's safe. You never know.
Well, and if you're going to lose Dan Quinn, which it seems like they would.
Dan Quinn is a Denver pick for me. I think bringing in a defensive head coach, working with the talent you already have on defense.
Randy Gregory's there.
Randy Gregory, a bunch of guys I really like. Browning. You've got the safety's a hell of a player.
Justin Simmons.
You've got the young linebacker, the rookie rusher,
Benito. And,
yeah. So there's a lot of pieces on defense there. As you mentioned, you might want to try to retain the DC. But if
Avero.
a DC comes in, maybe Avero's somewhere else.
Right.
I think Dan Quinn's and another thing you can do with a rich owner is you can convert, instead of paying salary, you can go bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of play with the cap a little bit more that way. So,
and you can hire a staff.
I don't understand.
You can hire. Yep. You can hire a staff. You can pay the fuck out of a staff. So Denver's a wild card to me, but I think the most attractive job is probably Carolina on paper, followed by Houston or Indy. You can throw Denver. If you're in love with Russell Wilson, you just feel like, hey, I know what the problem was last year. There's some coach sitting at home I've been watching Denver all year, and I can fix this. This is easy.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, Denver could shoot to number one, because who wouldn't want to live in Denver?
That's
Coach God's
hubris.
team.
And that is the bane of a lot of the coaches' existence.
Yeah, hubris. Okay, so that's sufficient on the coaching vacancies. I know Monday was the day where a lot of them got axed, Cliff Kingsbury included. Also good on the Cardinals. Steve Keim takes a leave of absence for his health. We're thinking about Steve, and I hope he's okay. But more than anything, what this does is it gives them an opportunity for a clean break, even though they just extended these guys through 2027. It gives you an opportunity to bring a guy in who's not maybe I don't want to work with Steve Keim. It's a blank slate. And it shows commitment to winning, You're not going to just sit there and ride out these contracts. Wild card weekend, super wild card weekend. I'm going to give you, my top 5 moments since 2000 that occurred wild card weekend. Golly, it's tough, man. It is tough. There's been a lot of really great moments. I guess number one for me would be I'm going to take Double Doink out because you and I are sitting together right now.
Terrible.
It was a bad moment because it didn't really amount to anything for us.
Heartache.
Just heartache for everyone.
And hatred.
Ashton Kutcher was mad.
Yeah.
He was in the locker room in the tunnel all mad. I met Ashton Kutcher
He's a
with you.
huge Bears fan.
Yeah, but he was legit mad.
He's a bigger Bear fan than me.
Yeah, probably. To this day. And I've got, I think number one is probably Tim Tebow, Reed. Yeah. I think it's Tim Tebow. I think it's 80 yards, one play.
Off the back foot. Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. This was 2011. I remember where I was for this. I was in New Orleans with A.J. Feely. We were at the college national championship, living it up. This is eons ago. It's 2011. Had no responsibilities. I was drunk all day. Took a nap. Woke up with a hangover during the second half of the Steelers and Broncos game. And Tebow threw for 300 and something yards on 10 completions, one of them being this 80-yarder in overtime. And everybody walked up. It was the first play of overtime. It was the first year that they had the new overtime rules. So, it didn't matter because they scored first anyways. But it was a walk-off. But it was the first play of overtime. And everybody on the Steelers defense was walked up. 6 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. And, I just remember it happening and it just being over like that. And the Tebow mania thing just took off.
I remember and
then crashed and burned.
Such a huge moment.
So I go Tebow. Oh, no.
Hold on a minute, player.
Hold on a minute, player.
I have a new number one.
I got number one. It's the Beastquake.
Yeah.
Beastquake 2010. Courtesy of the 2010 Rams, 7-9 or whatever we were. We were playing to go to the playoffs against Charlie Whitehurst, infamously. Charlie Whitehurst beat us up in Seattle. So there go the Seattle Seahawks to play the mighty Saints. And because of being a division winner and the way that goes, they're hosting a playoff game. And the Beastquake is just one of the most iconic moments in NFL history. So that's number one for me. I'll go Tebow number 2. 3, I'll go we want the ball and we're going to score. We talked about that earlier with Al Harris. Al Harris picking off Matt Hasselbeck.
That was big. I mean, it was when mics were at the center of the field. You could hear what players are talking about. Yeah, it was an epic moment. God
damn, dude. The Music City Miracle.
That was mine.
The Music City Miracle's in here.
Frank Wycheck.
The Music City Miracle. The thing about the Music City Miracle is it wouldn't count today.
It was inconclusive.
It wouldn't count today.
Apparently, they did have replay at the time, and they didn't overturn it.
He went under the hood.
Isn't that crazy?
And he said it was inconclusive.
But they would overturn it today.
They would overturn it today. There's too much
quality
scrutiny.
of the replay has gotten better.
Quality of the replay, the whole thing. So I'm going to put that number 1. I'll put Beastquake number 2. I'll put Tebow number 3. I'll put We Want the Ball and we're going to score number 4. And then 5, I'm going to go Mariota's comeback.
Nice.
In Kansas City. That was wild. And there was a play in that game where he
threw it to himself.
He threw it to himself off of somebody and scampered in the end zone. Yeah, so 1 through 5, I'll give you those 5. Honorable mentions.
A few of mine are on there. Yep. I'm going to go number 3 will be Hasselbeck.
Yeah.
Number 2 will be Music City Miracle because I mean, as a young kid seeing that play, and
it's incredible.
Like, oh my God, did that just happen?
One of those I remember where I was when it happened.
And I'm reading up here on a list of wild card games that I may have missed. The one that came up that was impressive when I'm looking at the stat line is Arizona 51, Green Bay 45, overtime 2009.
Carlos Dansby.
Over 1,000 yards of offense in a game, featured a Packer comeback from 21 points down in the second half. Defensive touchdown won the game in overtime. Carlos Dansby returned an Aaron Rodgers fumble for a touchdown in overtime.
He kicked it. Aaron Rodgers tried to kick it out of bounds, and Dansby caught it in midair.
I was at Kegler's for that game.
Dansby was involved in 3 to were you?
Yeah, I was never with my team because we had always gone home. So I remember where I was for all these, and we weren't.
Kegler's. The game set many records. 96 points were the most combined points in a playoff game. 1,024 yards were the most ever.
Okay, I got one for you, an honorable mention. 2013, in the same vein, Chiefs, Colts. It was Andrew Luck and Alex Smith, 2 number 1s. 1,000 yards of total offense in that game. It was 50, it was 49.
45, 44. That was a 28-point comeback.
28-point comeback for Indy. And just this was peak Andrew Luck.
No doubt.
This was like when you remember Andrew Luck. I remember this game, and I was in Vegas with Sam, and we were walking through Kegler's Vegas. I move around, and watching that in the sports book was incredible. I also want to mention Kyle Williams going to the playoffs in 2017. They didn't win that game, but it was the week prior where they actually got in
the locker room.
There were tears. Yeah. There was it's just, now you think about Buffalo, you think about a contender, just how quickly that all changed. But in 2017, they hadn't been in a long time. And, somebody like Kyle had never been. And so seeing him getting in was awesome. I also want to throw in the Blair Walsh missed field goals. Now, at the time, I didn't like that very much because that was the Seahawks, and it was just like I felt like the Seahawks got every fucking bounce, whether it was the onside kick against Green Bay, whether it was playing Denver. I don't know why I'm acting like that was a good break for them.
They still get every bounce.
Yeah, they do.
Extending to current the Seahawks.
Yeah, they do. They do. They
Ridiculous.
get that call at the end of the game. Not that it mattered because they missed the field goal.
And all the calls previous throughout that game.
All they get the
not
fail
downing
Mary.
The ball. Ugh.
They got the fail Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
The Seahawks are the luckiest team in the NFL for serious.
100%.
I mean, they got Geno Smith to play like, Joe
Ridiculous.
Montana this year.
He set all the Seahawks regular season passing records.
Yeah,
They did lose a Super Bowl that they were like 99% sure to win.
that's true.
Well,
but that's their fault.
That's karma.
That's their fault.
Can I get an honorable mention?
You and I hate the Seahawks, huh?
2003, Niners 39, Giants 38. Terrell Owens went nuts after Michael Strahan was talking trash during the game.
Yep.
It was probably peak.
Was
TO.
that the Trey Junkin game with the bad snap?
Oh, I remember what you're talking about.
I believe there was a special teams gaff at the end of that game. I want to mention the boat trip, 2016. That was a great wild card moment. That was the weekend before the wild card weekend.
Yeah. And this is the Giants' first appearance.
First appearance
since that picture.
Bunch of dudes in
Playoff
Timbs on a boat.
Just hanging out.
Were there Timbs?
Yeah.
Oh, there were Timbs. Not many shirts, but there were.
Yeah, when you're doing construction, but you want to look sexy.
And yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it was the Trey Junkin game. So 2016, the boat thing, which got turned into a big deal, and then they lost their playoff game against Green Bay, I think it was. I remember sitting in my room and pulling for the Giants so that they'd win, so everybody would shut the fuck up about going out on a boat. Because guys do things with their off weekend.
Yeah.
This was peak OBJ hysteria. Like, everything he did, it just drove white people crazy.
Yeah, like they just want to know more.
It just
about
drove
it.
people crazy, dude. There's something about OBJ. I also want to mention 2015, the Steelers slugfest with the Bengals when A.J. McCarron was starting for the Bengals. The only reason I say this, I blame this game for getting me among the drunkest I've been in my adult life. It was just such a slobber knocker that I just kept hammering drinks. I was in Virgin Gorda with my lovely wife. She was pregnant with Waylon, and I returned to the room that night after going to any bar would do, but I went to the bar that looked the best in Virgin Gorda, and thankfully, unlike Eleuthera, they showed the NFL, and I came back to the room that night and pissed in the suitcase in the corner of the room. Woke up in the morning, and Meg was so fucking mad.
Can't imagine why.
Well, I mean, is it that big of a deal? I mean, it's my suitcase.
Wait, was this end of the trip or beginning?
It's towards
of the
the
trip?
end of the trip.
Okay, so we had already worn most of the clothes in the
Yes.
suitcase, right?
Yes. I thought it was inconsiderate to be so mad at me.
Buddy.
It was so inconsiderate to be mad at me because I was so hungover. I set up this really nice trip. I'm not in the playoffs. I'm sad. I'm watching the Bengals. I'm watching Ryan Shazier just decapitate people. And I got a little drunk. I got a little into it. It was Steelers-Bengals, man.
It happens.
I am but a man.
I've peed in some places.
Yeah, exactly. What's the weirdest place you've peed?
I don't remember. Yeah. I'm never reminded of it.
All right, Mark Sanchez beating Peyton Manning.
That's a good one.
That's a great one. That's 2010. It's like, how drunk is football? And how great is it that Mark Sanchez always gets – I mean, there's an ad recently, I think on Peyton's Places, Sanchez and Peyton.
Yeah.
And Sanchez is actually giving Peyton shit. And I love that so much. You can't take that away from Mark Sanchez.
The one wild card game I'll always remember is when Romo botched the snap on the field goal. I only remember it for that one play, but it was like 21-20 Seattle. 2006.
That was to win it, huh?
That was like his first or
essentially.
second
There was like
season.
a minute left.
Yeah, I was
2006?
I was in high school.
Yeah, that's why he was still holding the kicks, because he had still recently been the backup quarterback, so he was on the kick hold package.
14.
Time is a flat circle, Kyle. Well,
THC.
and another thing was Al Harris, who picked off Matt Hasselbeck in the aforementioned pick six. We want the ball, we're going to score. Eventually was my teammate. And I just wanted to say that because I love Al Harris. And he was old as fuck, dude. And he would fall asleep on the fucking bus, and I'd take pictures of him. I would arrange him like he was like I'd like Photoshop him. He'd wake up, and I'd send him the picture because he just was so damn old. I mean, he was like a relic. I was like, damn, you're almost 40, and you can still play. Al Harris was one of the coolest vets of all time. we're in the mailbag. I just stepped in there.
I like that.
Because it's a different show now.
This is my favorite thing to do is the mailbag.
That's what you wanted to show up and do like an hour of, but now you got to go home. Why do you got to go home?
Kid,
tell me though. Tell me why you
I love giving my daughter a bath and helping her get helping my wife get our daughter dressed because that's a fucking wrestling match.
Yeah.
She's an actual avatar and not like the skinny kind. Like I'm talking like the shredded, fucking ready to do pull-ups kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I like to be there to help. And we read books. We put out 3 books on the ottoman after we get her all ready.
Call your daughter.
And we say,
call your daughter.
Pick a book. She picks a book and then we read it.
Call your daughter. Tell her. We're doing a little mailbag.
No.
Might be 7 minutes late.
I can't.
7.
That's not how we operate.
I'll give you a raise.
No.
That's not how we $7 a minute.
Come on.
It's $49.
We're burning daylight.
Okay.
It was a valiant effort.
This guy's like Derek Carr. Can't stay for the whole season.
Oh, my God.
First things first, Kyle, and I forgot to tell you this out of the Doug Pederson interview, but I regret to inform you that the Jaguars are wearing white pants with teal jerseys.
Stop.
I know.
Oh, no. That's not what we wanted at all.
It's not what America wants.
White pants with teal shirts?
Yeah.
Looking like
Emily,
an AAU baseball team?
Emily Ratajkowski cares.
Fuck the Jaguars.
No, even Emily Ratajkowski cares. Everyone cares. There's not. I walk down the street, poll 10 people. 10 people would say, wear all black. It's got a pool in your stadium.
What not to wear. They pointed that.
Got a pool in your stadium. It's fucking dark outside.
I got questions about that water.
Anyways, a little disappointed. It's the only mistake Doug's made all year.
How is Doug?
He's good. He let us look great.
He's not the best looking tool in the shed. But
what do you mean, Kyle? That guy's
he would steal everybody's
hard disagree.
chick.
He's a fucking dude. When chicks see Doug Pederson,
Yeah.
they think he's a human Labrador retriever.
That's what I mean, though.
But hot.
No, see, like, I
at his
love
hair,
the
Kyle.
Labrador retriever thing because everybody loves a lab. Even if they got the neck.
I don't know, Kyle. You'd poll my family right now.
They shake the neck like this.
Yeah.
And they love it.
Yeah, it's like
I feel like you could just do that.
That's what they want to do to Doug. Reed's like, Reed, is Doug Pederson hot?
A little Gray Foxy, right? Mm-hmm. You know he's a little older, but he has some experience.
Put him in the John Fox category of do not.
John Fox, not to be
finish.
No disrespect to John Fox, who's a great man and a great coach.
Let me finish.
John
I put him in the John Fox category of these two guys are way too smooth. You can't leave them alone with your
smooth.
Yeah, but not. They're good men.
But I mean, like.
But if you didn't know him, you'd be like, damn.
They're smart. Look at the way that he turned around the Jaguars. Imagine what he could do.
Yeah, guy knows
conversation.
Guy knows the game. Been around the block. Knows how to clock manage. All that stuff.
Labrador.
We're going to the mailbag. All right, Sade. Sade is the layup line today, Kyle.
Yeah, we have a couple Sade songs that we were listening to. We were just coming off of No Ordinary Love.
Oh, it's such a good song.
One of the classics.
Now,
and shout out to our dad.
Not everybody had dads that played Sade in the tape deck in the red Suburban.
The red Bourbon.
When we were in the red Suburban, it was Sade. When we were in the boat, it was Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel of Love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My tunnel of love.
Yeah.
I knew that one.
Yeah, you know that one.
Boss.
But Matt and Reed didn't know
Sade.
What was the first Smooth Operator?
Smooth Operator.
They didn't know him. And then I was like, hey, do y'all know Sade? And
Matt even said new music I'm not good with.
Yeah, man.
Me either, dude.
Learn history. You used to teach history.
Sade was not in the curriculum.
Sade was not in the curriculum. Sade should be in the curriculum. Goddamn icon. Show you a picture of Sade now, Sade in the 90s, same picture.
If you took Laura Robertson's Afro-American lit and history, then you would have learned about Sade. But that didn't come around until got out of St.
He was teaching Caucasoid history.
Yeah, you were teaching Caucasoid history over there.
We know Smooth Operator by Big Daddy Kane. Just not
okay. That's good, but the Sade.
That's out of my jurisdiction.
I suggest you guys go down the rabbit hole. Is all I'm saying. Actually,
Can't
learn
argue
the
with
entire album, or your jobs are on the line. What? I think I'm fucking around. They're gonna be writing think pieces about me. Media mogul fires staff over Sade blind spot. Hey, mogul would be a strong word. I just was trying to use
Allman Brothers derails Commander's season.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I
it
hope I
kind
don't
of
get.
did.
I hope I don't get cursed like Taylor Heineke, not knowing.
IJS.
No, yeah, I don't think this curse works the same way. I just think you don't get any girls from here on out.
So basically the same.
Sorry to say. Hey, I was going to ask off the Sade thing. What's the most nostalgic album or piece of music? Could be a song that brings you back to like a long time ago, very strongly, or a moment.
Okay, so I had a friend named Patrick Wilson. I used to go to his house all the time, and he had two sisters, and they would watch MTV. They were older than us, and they were cool and angsty teens.
They were cool,
like cool angsty teens, and we were the young little grunt idiot like friends.
Yeah,
and they were watching the music videos one day, and Eve 6 Inside Out.
Yep.
You remember that song?
Yeah.
I would swallow my pride.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That music video, for whatever reason, I can distinctly remember sitting out on their farm and watching that music video and being like, what a strange fucking...
Did you like it?
I did, but I didn't understand it. I was too young. I must have been, 9?
I was thinking there was going to be like a Little League Baseball story.
Well, Little League Baseball, high school baseball, John Deere Green is a song that Tyler Campbell, Ryan Caldwell, Trevor Knight, myself, we would make sure it played during pregame warm-ups.
What did it read? Billy Bob loves Darlene. Darlene? Yeah.
Charlene.
Was it Charlene?
Billy Bob loves Charlene. And letters 3 foot high. And the whole town said the boys should have used red, but it looked good too, Charlene.
Mm-hmm. Charlene, not Darlene.
Yeah, it was Charlene.
You don't think there's not a lot of young Darlenes walking around?
There are. They're out there.
No, it's more of a Charlene thing.
You got to get out to Free Union.
Charlene, there's a great song by Anthony Hamilton called Charlene.
Also a great song.
Which is a great song.
Woke up this morning, found a letter that she wrote.
Hey. She says she's tired, that she's always on the road. I'm always on the road. Too hard to
Never heard of that one either.
Being alone. She needs someone tonight that you can hold. Hold. What about you, Matt?
I must have told her 1,000 times.
Okay, we're not going to do the whole song.
Nostalgic. I used to listen to the LP of the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers, like on a record, the actual record.
Fingers.
This is the most hipster nostalgic memory.
That is a good one. I mean, if
He's
you
like, we were listening to
one,
vinyl.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a fucking great album.
I just learned how to use vinyl like last year.
Let's ask, what's your favorite Zin?
Oh, menthol.
Wintergreen.
No, I get the wintergreen when I dip. You know, I don't want the wintergreen when I
like consistency.
Yeah, menthol.
Because sometimes if I go from wintergreen to mint, then I feel a little upset in my tummy.
Somebody actually asked, the exact question was, what flavor of Zin should they invent? Like what? Like watermelon?
Orange.
Salted caramel.
Orange. Salted caramel, Kyle. Ugh. Yeah. I can't deal with the coffee one. Anything coffee flavored is great. It's just
they've got all the stuff that makes you go like, you know, cooling, I guess.
Maybe it's not that good of a question.
Is there a Zin flavor though that you tried and it surprised you? Is there a number of them out there, right?
I haven't tried enough. Maybe if the viewers would send some in, we can taste test.
We'll do a full upper decker. We'll do a full upper decker. You got it because you're supposed to put them up top.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
There's no spit there.
I don't know.
There's no saliva there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Up top doesn't create saliva, I don't think.
You're a smart boy.
I think.
You really are. I learned a lot from you.
I had an O-line coach that told me that one time. He's dead.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
But he was smart enough to identify the mic.
You think he would like Zin?
Oh, he would love Zin.
Yeah, all O-line coaches are probably heavy on the... Because you know who dips the most in America?
O-line coaches.
Football coaches. O-line coaches are up there.
Yes.
Nonstop.
That was from Fanta Fanatic.
Oh,
nice. Thank you.
I love Fanta. Don't you
want one, Kyle?
That's another nostalgic music right there. Those commercials.
Yeah.
Also, music. Remember MTV SummerSlam or whatever?
Yeah, sure.
Summer
Yeah.
at Farmington Pool.
Yeah.
We'd be in there.
Yeah.
I'd be eating chicken Caesar wraps, watching whoever the fuck was hosting, being like, those guys look like they're having fun.
Chicken Caesar wraps.
Yeah,
I
chicken
still eat
Caesar
those.
wraps. Yeah.
I used to watch Total Request live at the same place.
Total Request Live. The Basement. We would watch that at home.
Rap City.
Yeah.
Rap City.
Just big ticket the basement.
Yep.
What is the Mendoza line for a player who can ask for an Aaron Rodgers jersey?
Well, the first thing we need to do is establish which position. Like, if we're going to make a metric here, we need to use a position, right?
Right.
So let's use quarterback.
Okay. Quarterback. I think anybody who's started a long time in the league and played him a number of times, you're okay to do that. Yeah.
Yes.
So Ryan Tannehill's fine.
I think Tannehill, if they had a history or they knew each other, a lot of times guys are like trading jerseys because they went to high school together.
Or the Mendoza line.
You think Tannehill's the Mendoza line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rookies or players in their first 3 years
I think if
in the
it's
league,
somebody in
how good?
division and you've started against them multiple years, multiple times, if they were to ask for a jersey, because they could see it as you're done. I might want a jersey from Aaron Rodgers at some point.
The move is to say no, but I'll send you one. I can't give you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, James. It's somewhere north of Jameson Williams, but
Far north.
I'm not.
Maybe all the way north.
I'm not begrudging the kid.
No,
Fuck, man.
he's a good player.
It's a good opportunity.
He's young.
Well, yeah. He seemed.
He would let.
He was chill about it too. He was like, he laughed or something when Aaron was like, "Yeah, I might want to hold on to this one."
Did you guys exchange jerseys when you played against each other?
We did. We didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a white 91
Nice. Yeah, mine's
and a blue 91 subsequently.
yeah. I think mine's white.
Away game.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. There you go.
What's your Bevil Conway of a potential Super Bowl
Yeah,
matchup?
I'm looking at the lists right now.
Ooh, this is good. And then we can get Macon's opinion on the Freak Show. But yeah.
Bevil Conway Super Bowl. So, like, people at home, we're going to name some teams here. We don't think that they're going to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But we think it's going to
It's
look
just
really
about the
cool.
uniforms. The Bevil Conway
I
is
think the Giants and the Chargers could look super cool.
I was going to say Giants, Chargers, Chiefs, Giants, nobody in the Buccaneers. Niners, Chargers. Chargers is the one. There was a Niners-Chargers Super Bowl, and it was one of the most beautiful Super Bowls of all time. And it was still the Chargers. They wore dark blue, or did they wear? They wore white. I think they wore dark blue.
Yeah,
in that Super Bowl. 95.
That blowout.
Gorgeous Super Bowl. Just gorgeous. Now Miami's got some gorgeous uniforms. If they were the throwbacks, Miami throwbacks in the San Francisco 49ers,
oh my God.
or the Miami.
your eyes.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
This one's a tough one. Most heartbreaking sports moment, and we were interested to learn as non-professional athletes earlier that you guys actually care about the fans.
We
Sometimes.
do. I feel bad for fans sometimes. I do. Another wild card moment, that I failed to mention was when the Browns. Just thinking about fan bases, I feel bad about the Browns now, especially. They beat the doors off of Pittsburgh in the wild card round a couple of years ago in
That's
2021 or 2020.
20. Yep.
And 17 years before that, the Steelers had a 17-point comeback against the Browns in the wild card round. So that was payback. How are things now, Cleveland?
For me, it's any time when Kobe passed.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where I was or anything like that. But
I know where I was.
I remember exactly where I was.
Yep.
Like I just remember the immediate reaction to it. People that these fans become so like they get to know these people like they're their own best friends and their own idols in a close, intimate way. And then you lose a guy like that without any closure. That was really hard. And then I think about another heartbreaking thing was I forget what year it was, 2016, 2017, Zach Miller broke his leg in New Orleans.
Right.
And I was there on the field watching him. Like, I was there to go celebrate the touchdown.
Yeah.
It ended up being a non-touchdown. And it was the last play he ever played. And, watching him rehab back. But, I mean, like, as a fan, seeing that, and then the news that came out the next day, like, he's still in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Clotting in his leg.
This shit was terrible.
Yeah, he almost lost his leg. So, I mean, it was kind of akin to nothing as serious as last week, but it's akin to fans feeling the pain of somebody else.
I guess I'll go with the 2001 World Series.
Which one?
Luis Gonzalez singles up the middle.
Oh, the blue
to beat
Texas
the Yankees. Well, it was hard to follow that. I mean, it was like Kobe and a guy almost loses his leg. I'm like, the Yankees lost. And
was that Aaron Boone?
Yeah, well, for me, that was the end of my Yankees fandom. I just had enough.
You're not on board with the Yankees anymore?
Fuck no, dude. I was like, at that point, it was just like...
They're so much fun, though.
Being a baseball fan wasn't...
the Yankees
wasn't convenient for the high school me.
The Yankees are the Cowboys.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to be the 13-year-old with... at that point, I was 16. But there was still time.
With the Yankees hat?
With the Yankees, the Lakers, the Cowboys, and that whole thing on your header. You don't want to be that person.
You were the Knicks, the Panthers.
Knicks, Panthers, Yankees, and Pittsburgh Penguins. And that's the problem because the Pittsburgh Penguins were good.
What a strange array of teams.
Well, Kyle, I was displaced.
I liked Brett Favre a lot.
The Bonnaroo lineup came out. Our today, your yesterday.
Yes.
If it's your first Bonnaroo summer,
yes.
What are 2 do's and what are 2 don'ts at Bonnaroo Music Festival?
Man, do be nice to the staff. They're amazing people. They have to deal with some crazy shit, right? Just people
probably literally
on a lot of drugs. A lot of littering. If you get a chance to talk to some of the people that work at these concerts, a lot of them are offensive linemen and defensive linemen from actually they play all the positions. A lot of these schools around Bonnaroo, the kids will work Bonnaroo in the summer before. So I met a bunch of college football players there. So take time to talk to the staff. They're interesting, hardworking people. Hydrate. It's really hot. Kyle didn't even go to the festival. It's a good reminder. Mix in a water. It's like 100 degrees.
Do you have to bring all your supplies with you, or can you get some stuff there?
Yeah, you can get stuff there, but I would bring supplies. I would definitely bring supplies.
I meant drugs.
Oh, drugs. Yeah, you can bring your drugs. You can get drugs there. You can bring your drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
I was going to ask about actual supplies. Do you bring your burner stove? Your little stove. Do you
down there?
Dude, I got to be honest. Since I've been going to Bonnaroo, I'm at an age, and I'm going with my wife and some of her friends and my friends. So we don't really rough it. Yeah, we got a nice little bus. Yeah, we're glamping for sure. I would bring earplugs because at night, not that they're going to do anything, but the sound checks start early in the morning, and you're out there sleeping outside. Go to the silent disco. That shit's trippy. It's really trippy.
Fun.
It's really fun.
And I
take
feel
your headphones off and look around.
And just see all these people vibing, but everyone's moving differently. And it's cool when you meet somebody, like maybe you go there, by yourself or 1 or 2 other people, and you're just dancing, and you meet someone you don't know, and you happen to be on the same station.
Same station.
All right.
Well, it's a great way to make friends. Go to the silent disco. Make sure you figure out the stages because they're all like this tent, that tent, what tent.
It's Coachella, right? Then it's Coachella essentially.
No, Bonnaroo is different from a brand standpoint. It's more like Southern hippie.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And now there was like a long. It started out wasn't it jam bands in the beginning?
Yeah.
It was just jam bands.
A lot of jam bands, a lot of
it's a big field in Manchester, Tennessee.
I love Odessa.
Okay, Kyle. See,
there you go.
I had a list for you, Kyle.
I love Tyler Childers. I love My Morning Jacket. I don't know Louis the Child.
Okay, so the Pixies, Revolution, MMJ, Childers, Fleet Foxes, 3-6 Mafia, Portugal the Man, Wolfpack, Kendrick Lamar.
Portugal the Man.
Yes.
Not the country.
No. But either will do. It's a really fun festival, Kyle.
Morgan Wade is really good.
It's different than they had me in the first half with that one.
What?
Morgan Wade.
Morgan Wade.
I was like, oh, phew.
Morgan Wade is good.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I used to go for 3-4 nights. Now I'll be lucky to get 2, but I'm going to go. So, Kyle, you should go.
Kyle, we saw this video last night. What are your thoughts on the Bears stadium renovations in Soldier Field?
I could not have been happier to see that there was at least rendering showing a non-Arlington Heights move. I mean, there's no way I can see the Chicago Bears not playing in their current location. And for them to enclose Soldier Field in the way that they have, I know the domes are a hot topic on this podcast and many other podcasts, as they should be. But this is fabulous, the way they did it. And also, if you notice, there's a place called Long Pour in there.
Long Pour, yeah, that's cool.
The name of the bar. Some of the stat lines are really outdated. They had Jordy Nelson on there. I think Colin Kaepernick was on there as well for some of the stat lines on here.
I just can't help but notice a lot of this revolves around the veterans and, showing respect to the veterans. Veterans they play outside, don't they?
They also play inside.
They only play outside.
No, they fight inside.
Yeah, but mostly they fight outside. They mostly fight inside in the movies.
They fight inside.
Well, yeah, you're right. They fight inside.
Where do you think
they don't get the veterans. You're gonna dome for the football players, but not the veterans. Sleeping out there in Afghanistan, it's fucking cold.
But
it's cold at
how
night.
Much good food is gonna be here? They're talking about it's going to be a culinary experience like none other, like nobody else has imagined in Chicago. Obviously, for people who haven't been to Chicago, I think it's the best city in the summer and in the fall. Go watch a Bears game. If you get an opportunity in the summer, go watch a Cubs game or a White Sox game. But I think this is going to be it. They have the colonnades up still. It's iconic, and it keeps the old feel of it. And you have to wait until the end of this video to actually see where they show the field view of it. And it's actually pretty cool. It looks exactly like it's Soldier Field 2.0.
Again, Marcus Luttrell lines up his shot, but there's too much wind.
All right. Go Bears.
See ya. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.